Need a presenter? Your Event Audio has you covered. Closed circuit audio equipment with turnkey operation at your trade show booth, live event, or private event. YourEventAudio.com is the place to go. DJ services, MC talent, and a whole lot more. Check out YourEventAudio.com today.
Craving ideas to ignite your face-to-face marketing program? Join us at EXHIBITOR Live, the conference and exhibition for trade show and corporate event marketers in Nashville, February the 25th through the 28th. Dive into over 100 electrifying sessions and workshops led by industry rock stars, where you'll learn to skyrocket your ROI, master the art of creating experiences, and forge connections that will take your program and your career to the next level. Secure your spot now and turn your trade show dreams into reality at EXHIBITORLive.com.
Welcome to the Exhibitor Now podcast for this week's show. It's February the 16th, 2024, and I'm Mike Morrison, National Sales Director for WS Display and co-host of the shows you can see there in Las Vegas. Mark Johnson joins us from his home office there on the 17th hole of the Las Vegas Country Club. And lot to talk about, Mark. This week was crazy. Of course, Super Bowl finished up Valentine's Day earlier this week. For a lot of people, they got sour Valentines, especially if you're a 49ers fan. If you're a Chiefs fan, you're loving life. If you're a Taylor Swift fan, you're over the top. So there's a lot to be done there. And I'm sure your summary of this week from last week is they're all gone now. And now you can get back to some sense of normality and driving around the city and getting things done.
Yeah, again, we had the LIV tour at the golf course. We had the Super Bowl. You had shows, it still had major shows. And we talked about a little bit in other episodes how crazy the town was. And it is a little back to a bit of normalcy. And this town is always busy. So it's the new normal.
It really is. And of course, what's new normal in this world? Let's talk to our bullet points real quick. Not to spend too much time on the Super Bowl weekend, but it was Vegas. And it appeared to be one of the more successful Super Bowls in the most recent times. Of course, you got Taylor Swift. She had a lot to do with that, I think. Now, this makes me wonder, Mark, if the NFL showed us something with taking advantage of a billionaire brand figure to increase more audience push, and is that the answer for 2024 for business entities, or is it more than that? Because you have to remember last year, 2023, the Adidas brand and the Kanye West Yeezy shoe situation, which did not turn out well. So I guess you got to be a little careful about that billionaire brand, right?
Yeah, and I think if I watched and what I've got some conversation with some insiders, but mostly it's an outside perspective. The NFL was not fond of Taylor Swift in the beginning, and they were trying to figure out how to deal with it. And then they saw what it did for their brand and their viewership. And again, they set a record. 123 million people watched the Super Bowl versus last year's record of 115 was the numbers that I was shared with, and that huge success for it. And I think the NFL is smart to play into that and really highlight some of it. And, I wish them the best of luck. They seem like a great couple. It's got to be tough to be that public and to have a couple with it. But how do you use that going forward? Yeah, I think corporate America is going to have to continue to watch the brands and the social tie or the other behaviors that come on some of those people. Because if something goes sideways, your brand goes sideways really quick too. So you got to have a lot of damage control or I guess clauses in place for contracts and such with it. We've seen it pretty much in any sport. There's some activity that goes with it. But I will tell you, yeah, the Vegas is ecstatic about what happened. I did get the chance to meet the mayor last week and heard her perspective on it. If you didn't see the article, staying with the sports and the branding with it, Vegas is looking to invite in the A's and start a baseball team here. Her interview said, I actually hope the A's stay there. She really does believe that they should stay in there and from a culture perspective, historical, be there. But they want a team. Vegas wants a sport, and they would definitely get behind one. So it's interesting. They're trying to figure out how to do your balance with it. So corporate America, I do think it's a trend that's going to continue. It just creates followers. That's where if you're looking for new business, new opportunities. You're looking for the eyeballs and you're looking for new customers, and it's going to come with these billion-dollar brands.
Impressions, downloads, analytics, it all adds up to billions of dollars, and it's all important. Let's stay in that realm for a minute and look at the future for trade shows and business events based on 2024 results from the month of January, which was off the chain. Every show, to my understanding, set some type of multiple types of records. Serious question here. Is that a false sense of future success for the remainder of the year, or should we proceed cautiously with some kind of a plan B backup?
I think you always have to have a plan B and you should look forward as it goes with it. But I'm really with, as we've talked about before, all the associations, all the people that you and I've been to, these different projectors, forecasters of it, they're seeing several years of growth coming ahead in front of us. And I just think that that's still the case, going to, continue to happen. You're going to see show attendance and records still based on industries. There's still going to be some sectors that don't have those records yet. They're a little bit slow to come back, or it's completely changed. And there may be some adjustments that they have to do going forward. Maybe more joint shows going for some industries, some business sectors, who knows. But I do think that everything we're seeing long term this year and even further out there, the growth is not slowing down. It's going to continue. And I know everybody's cautious about the economy, but everybody I've talked to, they can't keep up. Their shops, their production, their capacities are being tested and pushed at every area. So it feels good to me as far as an industry.
It does, and the charts, the reports for every side, especially supply side, are strong with about every company I know about there. Nobody's complaining. The only thing they're complaining about is the workforce challenge of having enough help in order to execute. I know that's our situation as well, and that puts monkey wrenches being thrown into the machine. But you got to keep going. The machine has to move forward, and the plan B, I guess, is a little subjective. You'll deal with it when it hits. When the problem hits, you deal with it. But that's just my take on it as well. Yep. So let's cross into the world of Exhibitor Live for a second. It's showing that shows and events are looking at less expensive cities for their events. Louisville last year, Nashville this year. And what we're seeing is that tier 2 towns across the United States are seeing an uptick in their trade show and live event world. Does this move help the continuation of events moving forward for those organizations who see the value of the event, but also need to control cost? And Vegas will get theirs, Orlando will get theirs, New York will get theirs, etc. for the tier 1 towns, just based on that's just the way it is. But the uptick of tier 2 towns is rather an interesting point.
Yeah, I think there's several factors that go into that, Mike. I mean, one, there's some events or shows that, because of their size, they can only go to Vegas, Orlando, Chicago, certain cities like that can, handle that size of it. But even amongst those cities, historically, you've seen some cities that have gotten a little price heavy and a little gouging, I'll call it, or, they get that part. And the association will make a shift and go to one of the other cities because of the pricing that goes with it. So I think everybody has to be aware of that and manage to it. But it does give huge opportunity for these second-tier cities to handle these other shows that bring a better cost perspective to it. We at Exhibitor Live are doing it for a couple reasons. One is cost. If we would have stayed in Vegas, as we talked about, it was a huge increase for everybody to just stay there. But two, we've heard it over and over, it gives you an opportunity to experience different venues, different opportunities. We're about to announce the next 3 years. We have contracts in place for them. We're highlighting cities and convention centers that have got a new addition going on, or a new renovation has happened or is happening. We definitely want to go to Dallas when they get that finished and redo the whole city that goes there. It's the experience in addition to the pricing that comes into play with it. I think that's the bigger factor. There's a bunch of us that are tired of Vegas because we go to Vegas all the time, and we want to see different aspects of it. Well, but even in Vegas, they are constantly changing things here, so they know they've got to update stuff. So there's new experiences that happen even at those other areas. But yeah, I think you'll see more in the second tier cities. They'll continue to go, and it even gives maybe a little bit for the third tier. for opportunities for other shows to come into play. Some of the associations that you and I are going to, I mean, it takes a lot to get there, but it's a neat venue or an opportunity that makes sense.
It's an interesting anomaly of how it's moving, and the reports are showing that it'll be interesting to track that through the remainder of 24 and even a little further in the future to see if tier 2 talents continue to make that impression that they're getting more and more business. It depends on the cost, depends on the economics, the inflation, everything that's involved. It'll be interesting to watch. One thing that everybody loves, as we know, are awards, and trade shows are no different. Business events and conferences, no different. And just recently, our Exhibitor magazine staff was out with some judges doing a show, ISE. And we had an opportunity to pull in Emily Olson, editor-in-chief of Exhibitor magazine, to talk about that experience, as well as what's coming up at Live that you might be interested in knowing as far as awards are concerned. It'll come up next, right after this.
Attention, trade show and event marketing professionals. Are you ready to take your face-to-face marketing expertise to the next level? Join more than 3,000 candidates currently enrolled in Exhibitor Group's Certified Trade Show Marketer Program. CTSM is corporate America's top source of the industry's best trade show and corporate event training. CTSM certified trade show marketers enjoy expanded career opportunities, greater respect and authority in their organizations, and earn higher salaries than their acronym-free peers. Learn more, earn more. Visit ctsm.com today.
Welcome back to Exhibitor Now. You know, everybody loves awards. We just got done with the Super Bowl. Some people might even say Valentine's Day is an awards day. I know some recipients of okay, that might be a stretch, but the bottom line is, going back to square one, everybody loves awards. So today we're going to talk to our lovely editor-in-chief of Exhibitor magazine. That's Emily Olson. Mark's going to have a conversation with her about the most recent ISE show and awards that were given, as well as the programs that we're going to look forward to looking at here and being a part of with Exhibitor magazine, as well as maybe some updates about Exhibitor Live. So Mark, I'll turn it over to you to have this discussion.
Thanks, Mike. And yeah, we just got done with the Super Bowl. You saw the rankings, the top commercials. They were in order of, who liked them the most and such with it. You didn't say anything about my Nashville outfit. I should get an award for that. But no, more importantly, we want to focus on it. Exhibitor has been known as the leader in setting up some of those awards and the contests and stuff going on with it. And we do know that informally, we've been doing it for CES and Euroshop, formally, informally, and helping with that. And now with ISE, this is our 7th year, is it not correct, Emily? And
That's
you can
right.
tell us a little bit more about the program. And thanks for joining us, Emily. So you just finished it. So give us a little rundown. What actually happens? Tell us about the award and how do you guys go through it?
Well, it was a lot of fun. It's a huge show. There were so many halls. And so our editorial team on the first day, we kind of get the lay of the land, and we go around and we tour all of the halls and choose which booths we think we want our judges to see. And there are 4 categories: small, medium, large, and extra large. So that first day we're running around, we're taking pictures, we're getting kind of the lay of the land. Then we go to the press room, we close the door, and we fight. And we say things that I won't repeat while we narrow all those booths down to 40. And that's about 1.5% of the stands that are on that show floor are 40. So just getting into that category of 40 is quite a feat in itself. The next day we get together with our judges. We had 9 judges this year. Only 3 of them were from Barcelona, where the show took place. We had folks from all over, US, Germany, and these are event marketers, they're I&D folks, they're designers. So they're all approaching this from a different perspective, which was really cool, because then when the editorial team started taking them around to the booths, it was such a learning experience for me to see what caught their eye. Some of them were really interested in the activations. I stayed close to one of the designers because he saw every exposed bolt. And I thought that was really interesting. So it's a long day. It's a great day. We spend the day walking through the show floor. We go back to the press room. We determine who the winners are, and then we present the winners on the show floor and stage the next day. And that's so fun, because what's better than giving out awards for people's hard work?
Yeah, I mean, this is a very talented industry. There's a lot of great stuff that's done out there, and it is nice to recognize people. And it is. Those awards do have some value. One for their marketing purposes, but for their clients and such that go with it. And it is. It's just recognition of what we do.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of work that you guys go through. I know there's been some conversation on pay to play. None of that comes into play for any of our award programs. You've got a great program of what you just walked us through, how you select the judges, their cross section, they work through it, and everybody has their input through it. And it has really to do with the outcome and the design, the execution, all that comes into play. There's no pay to play as it goes forward through here, correct?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. In fact, our small booth winner, the company name was Owl Labs. This was their first trade show ever. And they were absolutely thrilled to have won that. And there's no pay to play at all. It's based strictly on, in fact, the criteria that we look for in these booths. We look for space and scale, graphics, wayfinding, lighting, trends in tech, fabrication, those exposed bolts, and then overall impact. It has nothing to do with our relationship with any of these exhibitors.
So with the issue on exposed bolts, one of the things that I guess is a question, observation that I've seen, but a question is how does it come in effect into the awards? There's a different level of quality and expectations in the US versus Europe. Europe is a little more open to some flaws. You know, it's got to look really good from a distance, but if you get really up close, you'll see things that I see in Europe would never pass any of our clients in the United States. Did that come into effect here at all as you with your judges and that?
You know, I wasn't aware of that. It's really interesting that you say that, because it was our American judge who was pointing those things out. Yeah, that's very interesting to hear. And that's one of the benefits of having this cross section of judges, that they are all looking for different things, and I think that really gives us sort of a well-rounded awards program, because they all have different passions and interests and things that excite them about a stand design, about a stand.
Well, and that's the role that you're trying to play, or we're playing an exhibitor. We're the unbiased. We're bringing together the experts of the industry. We're helping them segment or put a process in place to really help an award program and make some credibility with it. But it's very important to the industry. It's important to the show. Like you said, we're already been doing this for 7 years. ISE's already talking to us about next year.
Yeah.
We've got multiple contracts with that.
Yeah.
And we have other award programs. So what do we got going at Live coming up for our awards?
Oh, we've got some cool stuff coming up. So we did the Portable Modular Awards. That is an application process where people apply to be considered for these awards. And we also give some of our exhibitors at Exhibitor Live the opportunity to vote for their favorite. So we'll be presenting the People's Choice Award for the Portable Modular Awards at Live, and we'll be announcing the rest of our winners in a special webinar in March after the fact. And of course, we're doing our own Stand Design Awards at Live, looking for the best of on the show floor. I was a part of that last year, and it's so much fun. It's just, like I said, giving out awards is fun. People get so excited to see us coming and to get that recognition, because there's so much work that goes into these designs.
And we said, yeah, the industry is extremely talented, and all of the projects take work. And when you really put some of those extra efforts in there, you want to get some recognition for it. And unfortunately, as you said earlier, everybody can't win. If you're going down to 1.5% of the contestants or the possibilities in the ISE show, man, that's a part of a part of a part. I mean, that's really a small group that goes with it. And it's hard to recognize everybody's effort with it, but there's some value on really highlighting those things. And I love the fact that the small winner was a first-time exhibitor. That really sets them off, and they'll have high standards to set going forward.
Oh, absolutely.
Is there a place for the people to see what the criteria is ahead of time? So when they went to ISE, did they know they were being judged? And when they come to live, will they know what some of the categories are, or is it how is that known, I guess?
Well, at ISE, yes, exhibitor is an integral part into the ISE show, and everybody knows that we're there, that we're judging these awards. Nobody is surprised to see us show up at their booths with clipboards, and they're all very welcoming, and they do know the criteria ahead of time. And we're trying to have that same transparency at live. I think people expect to see groups of judges and clipboards walking around, because this is exciting. That sort of healthy competition among designers is kind of exciting.
Yeah, I know that they do get excited about it. Last year at Euroshop, I got the list of what you'd broken it down to, what the
Hmm.
categories were.
Yeah.
And so I was able to go look, and a couple of the exhibits I went to, I was kind of looking at it, and they came up to me and they said, "Can we help you?" And I said, "No, okay, maybe I shouldn't announce it, but you're one of the categories that have been indicated for a possible in the award program
Hmm.
with exhibitor and that stuff." And they're like, "Oh my God, okay, okay, great. Well, what can I do? Did you see this? Did you see that aspect? Can I show you what we're doing over here?" I'm like,
Hmm.
"I have nothing to do with the judging, but I'd love to see the excitement that you had with the program." So it's a lot of
Yeah.
fun to be a part of it.
Yeah, it
So.
really is. One of the small winner, the Owl Labs, they had these beautiful, they went off of they did a play on the name, the owl name, and they had these beautiful pink cloud lamps hanging from their booth. And I was complimenting them on that. And they said, "Oh, it was Pinterest. We sat up late at night watching TV and making these, and they're going into our daughter's room." And this is over. It's just, I love those stories. It's so much fun to hear.
Well, speaking of that, is there any other highlights of the other winners at ISC that you want to share with us? Some things that you saw, design or element that were really standout.
Well, LG Electronics won our extra large booth, and they had this a kinetic LED screen that was almost like sculpture. There was one uh, area of the ISC floor where you had several booths kind of converging together, and it felt like you were in a museum. It really felt like you were looking at art pieces, and the traffic stopped to really take it all in and enjoy it. So LG was a clear winner there. That was a really exciting stand.
Yeah, I think that's one of the key things that I've watched. The ones that really are award winners are the ones that stop traffic. You can
Hmm.
just see people stop and we'll go, "Wow, what is that?"
Yep.
So to me, that's one of the things that I look for too. But I'm not a judge, haven't been a part of a judge for anything for it, and I don't have that design eye, so I get it. But that's good. Well, anything else you want to share with our listeners about the awards program and any upcoming stuff or the work that you and your team are doing?
Oh, well, this was so much fun. We're continuing our CES Awards coverage. We'll be announcing our top 20 in the upcoming issue. So we've announced that to the winners, and then anyone who picks up the issue will be able to see the details of all those booths and why they won. So our writers are hard at work on that. And the other thing is Barcelona. God, what a great place that is. They played such a wonderful host, and that's such a fun city to spend time in.
Yeah, and again, we talk about the quality of it, but I will tell you, my belief is Asia and Europe is
Hmm.
so much more design oriented, just their whole culture, their whole society. Sometimes in the US, we're a little too simple or
Hmm.
functional, not always design. And like you said, the artistic part of even the simplest things in Barcelona or some of those cities in Europe are just, they're breathtaking because it's very artful. It's very museum-like, the whole town.
Absolutely. The architecture. You know what struck me? Sometimes I would look up at a balcony, and the underside of the balcony was decorated so that for no purpose other than passersby. And that's really beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen elements on the back of exhibits that are like up against a wall. And there's
Yes.
elements there, like you're saying, that are just nobody's going to see it or very small percentage. And they spent money on it, time,
Yep.
focus, and energy and money. And it was just for the sheer creativity, the
Hmm.
design, the element of that. So I wish more of our US customers would see the value in that. And it really does, it gives them an opportunity to set themselves apart. And we'll see that at CES. I know there were several of them there that did things like that too, that I'm sure you and the team will highlight.
Absolutely. Yes, that's absolutely the case.
Well, we appreciate everything you're doing. We look forward to having more of it. I'll keep working on my award program, maybe for outfits. I'll see if I can step it up a little bit. I haven't won an award for a while. Yeah, Mike's, I know I'm getting the, okay, fine.
Don't drag
I've
me
got to
into
rethink my
this.
whole packing idea for Nashville, Mark.
Can I piggyback one thought on what you just finished on, Mark, and then we'll wrap it up. I find it interesting that you say that about Americans versus the other side of the world, and the fact that we're so maybe rigid on how we do things. Maybe we're so drayage oriented or scared, or we're too concerned that it's too over the top. When you go to Euroshop and see what we saw, you would see all kinds of crazy elements inside of a design that you would never think about seeing here. Do you think that might be a trend in the US as we tend to watch this trend happening there, or it's actually just a style that's been going on for some time? And maybe that carries them more into the experiential side of what we're trying to accomplish in this old school trade show realm or a business event realm, decorating or design, versus what we might be seeing in the future, if that question makes sense.
Yeah, it does. I think I'm hearing you, is it trending and is the US going to move into that area? I've been going to Euroshop for 20, 30 years, and we've been seeing the same things. And we bring back to our customers the best of Euroshop, the best of CES, similar to what Exhibitor's been doing. And we've tried to have conferences with it. They don't seem to grab it in the US. Too many people are still run by procurement. And I guarantee you, Germany companies are based on profitability. They've got to have the numbers with it too. But those cultures just appreciate art more, in my assessment. I just think from a top down, homes, as Emily said, the bottom of a balcony. I mean, people just put more value to that perspective of it than we do here in the US. We're much more functional. How do I get in and out faster in the drive-through lanes? Even a drive-through lane or the restaurants in Europe are just so much more thoughtful on the art perspective, the perception of it, and the experience. And I think it comes into play. I don't know I think the one thing that'll change with that, Mike, as you bring it up, is more and more the European influence or Asian influence is coming into the companies, because the Ecolabs of the world are now an international company. Even though they started in the US or whatever, they now have to deal with it. And I'm hoping more of that will come into breath with it. But I haven't seen it as much as I would like. You do see it in CES and some of the other major shows, and some of the major companies are doing it. But I wish more of our clients would really tackle it, because, even those simple little small exhibits, some of the things that we propose to some clients, that's a little expensive. We can do it a little bit cheaper if we do X. Yeah, but you lose the whole artful aspect of it. So,
And the impact of it, just to be honest.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Interesting discussion. We ought to continue that on in another interview sometime. This whole idea of getting out of the old school mentality of procurement and think of more creative, and where can that needle move in that direction? That would be an interesting discussion. Of course, we're pushed for time, and we appreciate Emily coming on and being on our show. We'll all be in Nashville, and looking forward to see each other and seeing what booths show up and who gets the awards. Will be a big part of that from the exhibitor group. Quick timeout. We'll come back, and Mark and I will wrap things up after this.
Are you searching for trade show and event products and services? Find It on Exhibitor Exchange is your complete buyer's guide to trade show exhibiting and events, featuring the trade show industry's top exhibit and display providers. Find It on Exhibitor Exchange is the industry's best shopping and commerce resource for buyers and sellers of exhibit and event products and services. Reaching 20,000 exhibit and event buyers in every print issue of Exhibitor magazine, and 140,000 exhibit and event buyers online each year. Search the listings or list your company today. Learn more at exhibitoronline.com/findit.
Great interview with Emily. It's always great to hear what she's got going in the staff. Again, it's so honored to be able to be a part of the award program. recognize some of the talent that we have in our industry. And they do such a great job. Wow. The hardest part is picking the winners. It's such a small group of people that really, all of us should be represented for the quality of the work we do. But there is some that really stand out. We want to make sure we continue that. So I thank Emily for her work and look forward to continuing to work with her live this year.
Oh, absolutely. She is a joy to talk to. I've known Emily now for a few years, and she's bright. And as you can tell, I went out in the garage and decided to pull out this Justin that I wore back at Escuff in a 2-minute commercial. And I said, you know what, if we're going to go down the road at this point of the show to talk about Nashville, might as well start getting into character. As you can tell, I cannot let Mark upstage me with his outfit and not throw in the Justin here in order. Oh, he's got, oh, that's a duel. It's a hat off. It's a hat walk off. Here we go as we move into our second half of the show to talk about Exhibitor. So give me some updates of what we know for moving into next week to start things off at Exhibitor Live.
Yeah, we really are very excited about the numbers. The team is reporting back that we've exceeded our goals for the year. What we really wanted to accomplish, not only in exhibitors and space being sold and sponsorship, those are all important to keep the business going. But the real issue is the number of attendees, the CTSM people that are coming through the education. A large part of them, as we've talked about, are brand new to the industry. So those of us who want to partner with them and work with them, we have a whole new audience that we get to talk to and start to work with. But things are really going well with that. And there's a lot of events. As we talked about, EDPA's got their event going on with Chapters Collide, but also they're engaged. There's just a lot of activities through it, and you will see a lot of things that when you come online, make sure you get the app as soon as you can. Download the app. You'll see all the activities that are going with that. You'll be noticed as it's going. There's some neat contests that are going into play. There'll be tons of surprises that the team's working on. I'm not allowed to say some of it, and some of it affects us. We'll talk a little bit about that at Exhibitor Live and how we're going forward with the Exhibitor Now podcast.
Well, I have it in my notes to go ahead and mention we are making some changes here at Exhibitor Now. And I think both Mark and I can agree that these changes are going to make our podcast better. It will strengthen it in the eyes of the listeners and the viewers. And it'll be very, very content centric. And with Kim Gischler coming on as the chief content officer, we had opportunity to sit down and chat about our direction, and I'm excited. I'm not an employee of Exhibitor Group, as everybody knows. I'm kind of that third wheel that sits out here, kind of a spare tire, if you will. But I listened to the senior team and what they're talking about. And Mark, I'm excited. I think it's time that we've had fun, and we're not going to discontinue this relationship and what we do, but we are going to change the format a bit. And I'm looking forward to that. Looking forward, like I said, to get very content centric. And I think that's what our listeners are asking for. And it's time for a few changes, and they're all going to be good, in my opinion.
No, and I think those are the things. Once, we've talked about it before. The legacy group, what Exhibitor's done over the years and being an industry leader is phenomenal. And my hat's off to them for all they've done with that. And I really appreciate that aspect of it. But when we came in and wanted to take it over, it truly was an industry play. We want to do the best for the industry. And you and I have talked about some of the changes, and it really is. Our commitment is to make this podcast, to make the magazine, to make everything we do the gold standard in the industry. And yes, with Kim coming on as our director of content and the lead in all that area, she's going to do an awful lot with us on setting guests, different level of guests, the content that's coming in, and the expertise. It's just going to be mind-changing what's going to happen with it. You're going to hear a lot more from our editorial team, the different writers. You're going to hear from Kim, obviously, with that. We're going to bring much more of the corporate marketers into play. So our end customers are going to be on this show and be talking to us about that. We've got a whole new group of those that we'll be highlighting at Live and talking about some of the changes that we've got there. So some neat things coming, and I'm really excited about it. My commitment has always been to do what's best for the industry. and the best for this show. And so I'm looking forward to it.
So stand by, watch for us at Exhibitor Live. Both Mark and I will be there along with the senior staff, and we'll have a spot in the square where our podcast, Exhibitor Now podcast, will be set up, and we'll be interviewing select people during that time. But like he said, it's going to be the change for the good and for the betterment for the industry, and really looking forward to that. So thanks for checking us out here on this February 16th edition. It's just, we'll have one more podcast before Exhibitor, and then all the excitement begins from the Exhibitor Now podcast.
And remember,
the Exhibitor Now podcast. Give us 30 minutes, and we'll give you everything you need to know now.